I'm so excited that we are doing our very first Ask Me Anything. This is Melanie Trecek-King from Thinking is Power. And I put out on Patreon to see if anyone had a question, and we have our very first one. It is from patron Ricardo Villarreal. Thank you for your support and your question. And he asks, are there any metrics or positive signs that show science-based information and reasoning are winning the fight against misinformation and conspiracies? And what are you hopeful for in the current state of political affairs? Ricardo, you could have asked an easier question. Okay, let's give this a go. The first question is positive signs against the war on misinformation. Um, to be clear, this isn't a war that's going to be won, right? Misinformation has been with us since the dawn of time. It will continue to be with us. And so there's no single metric that can tell us whether we've won or not. It's going to be a long-term tug of war between misinformation and stopping or slowing its spread. That said, I can think of a couple of positive signs. One is that we're learning a lot more about the human brain and how it works and why we're vulnerable to misinformation. Um, all of us are vulnerable to misinformation. We are motivated reasoners. We are biased and emotional and tribal, and we want to protect important beliefs and worldviews, and especially our social identity. And so understanding these vulnerabilities can help us protect ourselves from misinformation. We're also learning more about how to slow the spread of misinformation. For a long time, we've been using debunking, which is going after misinformation to try to clean it up. And there's always going to be a place for debunking. But we're learning that pre-bunking can actually be more effective. Pre-bunking, getting ahead of misinformation and warning people that someone might be trying to mislead you using these techniques. Along the lines of pre-bunking is inoculation theory, which is based on like a vaccine analogy. So you can expose the mind to a bit of misinformation along with techniques to resist the persuasion and then inoculate it against misinformation. Inoculation theory shows a lot of promise. I use it a lot in class, specifically a type of inoculation called technique-based and active. So instead of just like factually why misinformation is wrong, here's the techniques of how it works. And then the active versus the passive. In the passive, it's a one-way flow of here's the techniques or the facts of why that's wrong. In active, they create the mental antibodies, I'm air quoting, themselves by creating misinformation. So what I'll have my students do is when I want to teach them about how conspiracy theories work, I have them pretend to be conspiracy theorists. They use the techniques in conspiratorial thinking to make a silly, this is important, conspiracy theory, and then defend it against attempts to disprove it. And so in the process, they learn how conspiratorial thinking works. So those are positive metrics that we are at least making some progress. The second question was about optimism. And if I'm being honest, this question is probably a little bit harder. And it's because there's a lot of reasons to be overwhelmed and frustrated at the moment. I think for me, one of the biggest reasons to be hopeful is just how many people care about this problem and are actually trying to do something about it. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about optimism here, but I'll get there. But I have to vent a few frustrations first. I'm an educator, and it's probably my bias as an educator, but I can't help but think that a key part of a solution to this problem lies in education. The problem is we are all learning how to navigate this new information ecosystem in real time. And it takes time for research to help us understand how to address the problem and then to make those into best practices and then get them into the educational system. We do know it can be done. Finland has done a remarkable job of protecting its population against largely Russian disinformation by using these best practices in not only their educational system, but the population as a whole. I'm going to leave you with one other thing, and that is what I always try and remember when I get frustrated and lose hope. And that is that the vast majority of people do care about the truth and they care about other people. They may not be working with the same information. They may not have the same underlying worldview. They may be in a different social group. Um, but most people do care. But the fact that they disagree with this isn't necessarily because they're stupid or they're evil. They're people, and we're all trying to figure this out. I can't hope to change somebody else's mind if I'm not willing to change my own. And having a little empathy and charity in that process can go a long way towards making the connection and having more productive conversations. Because at the end of the day, I have to look myself in the mirror and I have to know that I did what I thought was best. Thank you again for the question, Ricardo. I hope the answer was useful, and thank you for your support. If you like these Ask Me Anythings, please continue to ask questions. Join me on Patreon if you're not already there. Oh, also, for the next question, just make it a little easier. Thank you again, and see you on Patreon.